Hey guys, welcome back to my YouTube channel. Nate, I was about to say Ninthrocket, but that's my other YouTube channel. But today I'm going to be talking about the evolution of Nintendo. I'm recording this outside again, so if you hear any noise, please don't mind it. I'm going to record one tomorrow inside because all this noise ain't helping, so... But you're just gonna have to go with another video with noise. But today we are gonna be talking about the evolution of Nintendo consoles. Without further ado, let's go ahead and go with that. If you don't know what Nintendo is, the Japanese multinational consumer electronics company Nintendo has developed 7 home video game consoles and multiple portable consoles for use with external media, as well as dedicated consoles and other hardware for the consoles. As of September 30th, 2021, in addition to Nintendo Switch, Nintendo has sold over 863,700 million hardware units, which is pretty lot for Nintendo. The company's first console, the Color TV game, was a success in Japan, but was never released outside of Japan. The first system to achieve worldwide success was Game & Watch handheld series before achieving greater worldwide success in Nintendo Entertainment System, or NES. Originally released as the Family Computer or Famicom in Japan in 1983, the NES restarted the video game industry after the video game crashed in 1983 and was an international success. In 1989, Nintendo released the Game Boy, which became the first handheld console to sell in large numbers. In the early 1990s, Nintendo market began to decrease, although in 1990, Super Nintendo Entertainment System, or SNES, was a strong seller. The Sega Genesis was a very strong contender. Nintendo and Sega would both lose a significant portion of the console market towards the end of the 1990s, as Sony's PlayStation became the most popular console, beating the N64, and Nintendo managed to sell more than Sega Saturn. The Dreamcast released in 1998, PlayStation 2 released in 2000, and Microsoft's Xbox released in 2001, would eventually regulate Nintendo to third place in the international market. Despite the release of the GameCube, however, they retained their lead in the handheld console market with the Game Boy Color and the Game Boy Advance models. Towards the middle of the 2000s, Nintendo introduced the first successful handheld device with a touchscreen called the DS, and the first successful console designed for motion control inputs, the Wii. They became some of the best-selling consoles of all time in 2011. Nintendo became the first major company to release a handheld game console with stereoscopic 3D capabilities in 3DS, which had very strong sales from the beginning. The Wii U, released in November 2012, was much less successful, and sales were significantly lower. They predicted the company's most recent console, Nintendo Switch, was released in March 2017 and has now surpassed the entire lifetime sales of the Wii U. Now let's go ahead and go to the home consoles. Color TV Game, 1977 to 1980. Color TV Game is a series of 5 dedicated home consoles released only in Japan. Each of the consoles contained a small number of games and a built-in controller. In total, approximately 3 million units were sold. The Color TV Game series consists of Color TV Game 6, released June 1st, 1977, with 6 variations of Pong, tennis, hockey, and volleyball in singles or doubles mode. Sold approximately 1 million units. The Color TV Game 15, released June 8th, 1979, with 15 variations of Pong. That was the most popular console in the series, selling just over 1 million units. Color TV Game Racing 112, released June 8th, 1978, with the racing game, notable for being the first Nintendo project that Shigeru Miyamoto worked on, sold approximately 500,000 units. Color TV Game Black Breaker, released April 23, 1979, with the game based on Breakout, sold approximately 500,000 units. Computer TV Game released in 1980 with Computer Othello, sold in limited quantities. Family Computer and Nintendo Entertainment System, 1983 and 1985. Released July 15, 1983, the Nintendo Entertainment System, or NES, is an 8-bit video game console released by Nintendo in North America, South America, Europe, Asia, and Oceania, and Africa, and was Nintendo's first home video game console released outside Japan. In Japan, it is known as a Family Computer, or Famicom as it's commonly abbreviated, selling 61.91 million units worldwide. The NES helped revitalize the video game industry following the video game crash in 1983, and set the standard for subsequent consoles in everything from game design to business practices. The NES was the first console for which the manufacturer openly courted third-party developers developers. Many of Nintendo's most iconic franchises, such as Legend of Zelda and Metroid, were started on the NES. Nintendo continued to repair Famicom consoles in Japan until October 31st, 2007, attributing the decision to discontinue support to an increasing shortage of necessary parts. Nintendo released a software emulation-based version of the Nintendo Entertainment System on November 10, 2016, called the NES Classic Edition. It is a dedicated console that comes with a single controller and 30 preloaded games. Super Famicom and Super Nintendo Entertainment System, 1990 and 1991. Released November 21st, 1990, the Super Nintendo Entertainment System, officially abbreviated the Super NES or SNES, and Calago shortened the Super Nintendo, is a 16-bit home video game console, released by Nintendo in North America, South America, Europe, Asia, and Oceania, and Africa. In Japan, it is known as a Super Famicom in South Korea. It is known as the Super Comboy and was distributed by Hyundai Electronics. The SNES was Nintendo's third home console, second outside of Japan, following the Nintendo Entertainment System. Whereas the earlier consoles had struggled in the PAL region and large parts of Asia, the SNES was a global success, albeit one that could not match its predecessor's popularity in Northeast Asia and North America, due in part to increased competition from Sega's Genesis console. Despite its relative later start, the SNES became the best-selling console of the 16-bit era, selling 49.10 million systems worldwide. The SNES library is known for upgrading some of Nintendo's most famous franchises and making the games even more critically acclaimed, such as Super Metroid, The Legend of Zelda, Link to the Past, Final Fantasy V, and 4, Donkey Kong Country, and Super Mario World, as well as starting some popular franchises such as Star Fox and Mega Man X. Similar to the NES Classic Edition released prior, Nintendo released a software emulation-based version of the Super Nintendo Entertainment System on September 29th, 2017, called the Super NES Classic Edition. It is like its predecessor, is a dedicated console that comes with controllers and 21 preloaded games, one of which, Star Fox 2, is a title originally developed for the system that went unreleased. Nintendo 64, 1996 and 1997. It was released on June 23, 1996, in Japan on September 29, 1996, in North America on March 1, 1997, in Europe and Australia. The Nintendo 64, commonly called as the N64 and codenamed Ultra 64, was Nintendo's third home video game console for the international market. It was released with 3 launch games in Japan: Super Mario 64, Pilot Wing 64, and Seiko Habo Shogi, and 2 in the North America: Super Mario 64 and Pilot Wing 64. PAL regions also had 3 launch titles: Super Mario 64, Shadows of the Empire, and Pilot Wing 64, with Toroko Dinosaur Hunter delayed until 3 days after launch. Other key games include Donkey Kong 64, Diddy Kong Racing, Banjo-Kazooie, 2 games in the Legend of Zelda series, GoldenEye 007, Mario Kart 64, Super Smash Bros., and Star Fox 64. The Nintendo 64 sold 32.93 million systems. GameCube, 2001. The Nintendo GameCube, commonly shortened to GameCube or NGC or GCN, was released on November 5th, 2001. It was Nintendo's 6th generation game console, the same generation as Sega's Dreamcast, Sony's PlayStation 2, and Microsoft's Xbox. Until the console's unveiling at Space World 2000, the design projector was known as Dolphin. This can still be seen in the console and accessory model numbers. The GameCube is the most compact 6th generation console. Excuse me. The GameCube is the most compact 6th generation console, like I said. The GameCube is Nintendo's first game console to use optical discs rather than game cartridges. An agreement with the optical drive manufacturer, Mitsubishi, led the DVD playing GameCube system named the Panasonic Q, which was released in Japan. Much of Nintendo's core lineup centered on sequels to their established hit franchises such as Super Mario Sunshine, Super Smash Bros. Melee, The Legend of Zelda Wind Waker, Metroid Prime, Pokemon Colosseum, and Star Fox Adventures, while new franchises like Animal Crossing and Pikmin were born, although the former franchise has seen a Japan exclusive released on the N64. The GameCube has sold 21.74 million units. Wii, 2006. The Wii was released on November 19, 2006 as Nintendo's 7th generation home console. Nintendo designed the console to appeal towards a wider audience than those of its main competitors, the PlayStation 3 and the Xbox 360, including casual players and audiences that were new to video games. These aims were emphasized by the console's distinguishing feature, the Wii Remote, a handheld motion control that can detect motion and rotation in 3 dimensions, using a mixture of internal sensors and infrared positioning. The controller included an expansion port that can be used to connect other accessories such as a nunchuck, an attachment with an analog stick, and additional buttons. A classic controller gamepad providing a traditional control scheme, and Wii Motion Plus, an accessory designed to enhance the motion detection capabilities of the original Wii Remote models. The Wii's internal hardware is an updated, derived of the GameCube. In comparison to the 7th generation competitors, the Wii had lower overall graphics capabilities and does not output in high definition. The Wii also featured internet-enabled features. The Nintendo Wi-Fi connection service allows supported games to offer online multiplayer and other features, while the Wii Connect 24 featured allowed messages and updates to be downloaded while the console was in standby. Through the Wii Shop channel, additional games and apps could be downloaded or purchased for the console, including Virtual Console, a selection of classic video games emulated from older consoles. That service got discontinued as of January 30th, 2019. Early models with the Wii also had backwards compatibility with GameCube games and controllers, but it was dropped from later hardware revisions, namely the Wii Family Edition and the Wii Mini. The Wii was a major success for Nintendo. In April 2007, the Wall Street Journal declared that Nintendo had become the company to beat the games business, citing the success of the Wii and the portable Nintendo DS line. As of March 31st, 2016, the Wii has sold a whopping 101.63 million units worldwide. Wii Sports, a collection of sports minigames that were designed to leverage the Wii Remote, was bundled in with the console outside of Japan and had a major cultural impact on the console's killer app among the mainstream audience. Wii U 2012. The Wii U was released on November 18, 2012 as a direct successor to the Wii, and the first entry in the 8th generation of home video game consoles. The Wii U's distinguishing hardware feature is the gamepad, a tablet-like controller which contains a touchscreen that wirelessly streams a video output from the console. The gamepad's display can be used to provide alternative or complementary perspectives within a game or as main display in lieu of television. In particular, Nintendo promoted the concept as asymmetric multiplayer, where a player with the gamepad would have different objectives and perspectives than that of the players. Alongside the gamepad, the Wii U support Wii controllers in games. A conventional gamepad known as the Wii U Pro Controller was also released. The Wii U features more extensive online functionality than the Wii. Using Nintendo's network platform as the Wii, it supports online multiplayer and downloading and purchasing new games and apps, but also allows video chat. It previously featured an internal social network known as Miiverse, which allowed users to write and draw posts in specific communities. The service was discontinued on November 8, 2017. Nintendo also attempted to provide second screen experiences for television programming for the Wii U through a feature known as Nintendo TV, but it was discontinued outside of Japan in August 2015. Unlike the Wii and Wii U's hardware, is compatible with high-definition graphics. The Wii U was met with low adoption, attributed by Nintendo executive with the lacked the clarity of the Wii U gamepad from being a tablet device, as well as subsequent release of the PlayStation 4 and Xbox One. The following Wii U, however, some critics argued that the Wii U still had advantages over the PS4 and Xbox One, including its lower cost and notable early exclusives such as Super Mario 3D World, and sales steadily increased following the release of several notable first-party exclusives, including new entries on Mario Kart and Super Smash Bros. Franchise and a new franchise, Splatoon. In January 2017, a Nintendo spokesperson stated that the production of the console had ended, with just 13.56 million units sold worldwide, which was a commercial failure. Virtual Boy, 1995. The Virtual Boy, also known as the VR32 during development, was the first portable game console capable of displaying true 3D graphics. Most video games are forced to use monocular clues to achieve the illusion of 3D on a two-dimensional screen. But the Virtual Boy was able to create a more accurate illusion of depth through an effect known as parallax. The Nintendo 3DS also used the technology in a manner similar to using a head-mounted display. The users look into an eyepiece made of neuropalm on the front of the machine, and an eyeglass-style projector allows viewing of the monochromatic, in their case red, image. It was released on July 21st, 1995 in Japan and August 14th, 1995 in North America, and at a price of around US $180, it met with lukewarm reception. That was unaffected by continued price drops. Exactly 14 titles were released for the Virtual Boy in North America, but only a few were met with positive reception. Nintendo discontinued the Virtual Boy within a few months of release. Nintendo Switch 2017. The Nintendo Switch was released on March 3rd, 2017, and is Nintendo's second entry in the 8th generation of home video game consoles. The system was codenamed NX prior to its official announcement. It is a hybrid device that can be used as a home console, inserted to the Nintendo Switch dock attached to a television, stood up on a tablet with a kickstand, or as a tablet-like portable console. It features two detachable wireless controllers called a Joy-Con that can be used individually or attached to a grip to provide a more traditional gamepad form. Both Joy-Con are built with motion sensors and HD rumble, Nintendo's haptic vibration feedback system for improved gameplay experiences. However, only the right Joy-Con has an NFC reader. It's an analog joystick for Amiibo and an IR sensor on the back. The Nintendo Switch Pro controller is a traditional style controller much like the one of the GameCube. The console revealed trailer premiered on October 20th, 2016, and showcased the hybrid functionality of the system, as well as footage from The Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild and from potential new titles like Super Mario Kart and Splatoon franchises. These unknown games were later announced to be Super Mario Odyssey, Mario Kart 8 Deluxe, and Splatoon 2, respectively. The Nintendo Switch has currently sold 103.54 million units as of February 3rd, 2022, outselling the Wii U, GameCube, Nintendo 64, SNES, NES, and 3DS within its first 5 years of launch, making it the best-selling home console from Nintendo and third best-selling home console of all time. A second variation, the Nintendo Switch OLED model, was released in 2021, which makes several adjustments or improvements over the original, including an improved kickstand and a larger OLED screen and larger storage, 64 gigabytes instead of the regular 32 gigabytes present in the Nintendo Switch and Nintendo Switch Lite. But there you go. That was the evolution of Nintendo, and I hope you guys liked it. Join me next time for the evolution of Sega.